Hi, this tutorial is brought to you by pm-prep35.com. pm-prep35.com is a free PMP training website. Do access pm-prep35.com to find a lot of mock exams and chapter and tests. In this session, I am going to cover sequence activities process. This process is part of project time management knowledge area, and it falls in the planning process group. So sequence activities happens once your activity list is ready, which is part of this activity list gets ready in as an output of define activities process. On your real-time projects, the activity list, sequencing them, assigning resources, estimating the duration is all part of the scheduling process. But here in PMBOK, these are all treated as separate process. So that's where a slight shift in thinking is required. So the sequence activities process specifically looks at creating the project network diagram with the available activity list as well as the milestone list, which is part of the define activities process. So it takes care of the different dependencies between the activities, and also it takes care of what could be the lead and lag for a particular activity. So it uses it keeps these in mind and builds the project network diagram. So it is just one section of the whole scheduling process. You normally do probably you do all this in the same you do this in the same process and on a real-time project. The sequence activities process understandably gets its inputs from the define activities process. The outputs from the process or activity list, which has the list of all the activities. Then you have the activity attributes, which has detailed information about each activity and any sort of lookup information in terms of predecessor activities, successor activities, or you want to write anything while you build your activity list about the activity which should be taken care in the further process of time management. So that's what becomes part of your activity attributes. So these things become an input, and also the milestone list, which have the milestones usually have zero duration. So those should be included in your project network diagram. So those are also part of your inputs for this particular process. Since the WBS or the scope baseline as such, which involves the scope statement, WBS and WBS dictionary, they are a key input for this particular process, because specifically the scope statement is specified here basically because WBS is more of a hierarchical or diagrammatic representation. So you use the scope statement as one of the vital inputs of this process, because until your schedule is baseline, with the project schedule, you have to have you have to keep in mind what is the scope and what is the scope baseline. So those needs to be included in your activity list as well as your network diagramming, because you might have left out something in the activity list. Those could be identified while you're networking or you're diagramming the activities, and your activity list as such will undergo updates. So with that idea, let's quickly walk through the important points in this particular process. The sequence activities process is concerned with interlinking the activities in the activity list. The output of the sequence activities process, the project network diagram, and the objective is to come up with different possibilities of linkage between activities. In many projects, activity listing, sequencing, duration estimating, resource requirements are all done as part of scheduling. So there can be different kinds of relationship between activities. They are called as finish to start, start to finish, start to start, finish to finish. So in case of the finish to start relationship is mostly used in most of the project management software, because it deals with once a predecessor activity finishes, then the successor activity starts, which is the most common relationship that we can easily relate to. So that's what is used in your project management software, which build the network diagrams. And this falls, the project management softwares, most of them, they use the precedence diagramming method, which uses activity on node style of diagramming. But there is the other diagramming method called arrow diagramming method, which uses AOA, or activity on arrow diagramming style. So these are the two types of diagramming method, PDM and ADM, but PDM is mostly used in most of the softwares because it supports all four relationships, but finish to start is the most commonly used relationship. So inputs for this process: schedule management plan, because it has details about what should be done with each and every process in the knowledge area. That way this process also gets its input, details about what is during planning phase. Initial planning, you come up with your schedule management plan, where you detail about you provide as much detail about each of the process in the knowledge area. That's where you will find some information about sequence activities process also. So you look up that when you build your actual sequencing of activities that is done in this process. Then you have the activity list, which is the list of activities coming from your define activities process. Then you have activity attributes, which has information that you would want to use in terms of diagramming, so that becomes part of your activity attributes. Enterprise environmental factors give you some sort of external dependencies, because that's very important when you draw the diagrams. Then you have organizational process assets, which have templates that have been successfully reused in previous projects, as well as lessons learned from previous projects. Milestone list, which again is an input from your define activities process. Then you have the scope statement, which is coming from this project scope management knowledge area. Until your schedule is baseline, you have to look up at your scope baseline. So scope statement is part of the baseline. The techniques, one of the first techniques is precedence diagramming method, because most of the tools use precedence diagramming method. That's an important technique that you would follow. It uses activity on node method, and the most common type of technique, diagramming technique, is finish to start relationship between the predecessor and successor activities. And dependency determination, you do once you it's a common thing that we do in a project management software or a scheduling software. What you do is you put down all the activities initially, then you allocate relationship between these activities. So you are doing you do a dependency determination. So that's an important technique that you follow. You see what should precede what and what should succeed which activity. So the different types of dependencies are mandatory dependencies, discretionary dependencies, internal dependencies, and external dependencies. The mandatory dependencies, as the name goes, they are called as hard logic, which you cannot escape. If activity A should precede B, then that's how it should be done. So that's where mandatory dependencies are important. But in case of discretionary dependencies, they are soft logic, wherein you can change the way they are done. They are mostly useful when you want to do fast tracking between two activities. So that way you can reduce the schedule or the time required, the total required time, critical path in the project. So discretionary dependencies, mandatory dependencies should be accounted when you build your network diagrams. That way you will have multiple options to build the network diagram. Internal dependencies are anything that the team has control, and you can have a different way of doing it. But external dependencies are coming from external factors in terms of government laws, regulations, those things the team does not have any control. So these are the four different types of dependencies: mandatory, discretionary, internal, and external. Then the leads and lags are an important technique, where what amount of waiting time must be given before the activity start or activity finish, respectively. The lead time is waiting time before an activity starts, while lag time is, so this will help you order things in a proper way. If you know there's lead and lag, then you have again a multiple options of doing things, and your network diagram as such will have 2 or 3 formats. Then you can pick the best out of those. So the outputs from this process is project schedule network diagram, which has everything networked, and you can see in one place the different activities put together. Then obviously the project document undergo updates. The classic example is when your activity list as such undergoes when you determine a dependency which you could not come up when you when we are coming up with the activity list. So let's quickly look at some of the diagram, how it looks like. For instance, if you look at the activity diagramming method, you have the nodes, and then they are linked using activity. So this is called activity on arrow. Your activity name falls on the arrow. You can have dummy activities in case of the ADM method, but in case of precedence diagramming method, you can't have dummy nodes. You will have your nodes, then the activities are represented in these nodes. Start to finish, you have activities falling between them, but then the node as such will represent the activity. That's why it's called as activity on node relation diagram. There is this PERT technique. I have this here mainly because to show there are milestones here. The milestones have, if you can see them, you will not have any duration related to those. The start and finish have milestones, but they have a date, they don't have a duration. But for the other activities there will be duration. So that's where milestones are also part of your diagrams. So this is about schedule network diagram, the schedule network diagram, which is part of sequence activity process. Do visit pmi-prep35.com to access a lot of free resources and other process tutorials. Thank you.